Hey everybody, welcome back to the shop. We got a flea market finds episode. Today is June 4th, 2021, and this is stuff that I picked back on, I think it was May 16th, so about 3 weeks ago at an outdoor flea market. And it's actually been quite a while since I took a look at this stuff. I'm going to have to go by memory as far as what I paid for this stuff, unfortunately, because I usually do a pretty good job of keeping track of what I pay for everything. And sometimes I'll make a video on my phone. I inadvertently neglected to do that day, so we're gonna have to wing it. But still some interesting items to take a look at. All right, so this first item, I definitely do remember what I paid for it. And to be honest with you, I may not have bought this at that flea market. It may have been at a previous flea market or sale that I went to. It was definitely a flea market, but I just don't think I remember to include this, so I'm going to include it now. So what's in here is an old Simpson model 270 voltmeter. These, I bought one of these a while ago, and I think I paid like $5 for it. And the only reason I bought it was because it was very clean looking, and I kind of have a sentimental attachment to these. Way back when I was in Tech High School for electronics, they had a whole bunch of these. And as students, we ended up spending a lot of time using these and also repairing these, because anybody who's ever used an old analog meter will tell you that they can be a little unforgiving if you don't know what you're doing. Modern DVMs, you can put the probes across voltage when you have it on the resistance scale, and the meter's just going to immediately just tell you some error message and let you know that, hey, you can't do that. Or actually, it might just automatically switch over and display the voltage, which a lot of them do now. On the other hand, if you've got one of these old analog meters and you inadvertently have it in the resistance range scales over here, and you put 50 volts DC across it, you're liable to smoke the shunt resistors inside there. So needless to say, you got to be a little bit more careful with these. So why did I buy another one? Well, I wasn't going to, but what I liked about this one that I thought was cool was it had this original leather case, which is in actually pretty good shape. So it's an original leather case, and it's got a little lead storage compartment here and everything. So I thought that was kind of cool. And so the other thing was that I offered $5 for this one, and the guy took it. So that is the story there. Put this meter on the 2.5 volt scale, and I just had this battery sitting on the bench. And look at that. It's measuring about 1.4 volts, so this battery's probably just a little low, but it's actually working on DC voltage, so I'd have to check it on all ranges and everything. And when I put it on the resistance scale, nothing happens, but that could mean the battery inside is dead. For all I know, the internals could have batteries in it that have leaked all over the place. Now let's take a look. Battery and fuse compartment. Oh yeah. Yep. So we got a D-sized flashlight battery in there. These contacts aren't too bad actually, so that didn't leak too badly. And then there's a 9-volt transistor battery here. So this requires 2 batteries for operation. I do not remember exactly what's the purpose of the 2 batteries. I want to say, I think on one of the resistance scales it uses this battery, and on the other ones it uses the 9-volt transistor. I don't believe this has any need for either of the batteries as a voltmeter. Basically it's an old school circuit. You've just got a meter movement, and the range control just puts different shunt resistor values across the meter movement. If I recall my ancient meter theory. So now we can use the meter to tell us, oh, look at that. This battery is actually good. All right, so that battery is good. Let's try a 10 volt scale. Let's try this. Oh, that's disconcerting. Well, that's actually reading about 8 volts. That's weak. And my little Sperry Pocket Pro, it's measuring 7.52, 7.5 volts. So that's actually about right. Well, no, because that's measuring 8 volts. And this junky Craftsman meter measures 7.88 volts. So that's closer to the 8 volts this is saying. So I really need a good meter to break the tie, but my Fluke DVM is in the in my tool bag in the car because I needed it on a job the other day. So oh well. Well, what do you know? Cleaned up the battery contacts, put the batteries back in, and I do get deflection when I short the leads on the resistance scale. And I can zero the meter on the R times 100 and the R times 10,000 ranges. I can't quite get it to come over to 0. Oh yeah, I can now, okay. I thought I couldn't, but yeah, it's a little... I think that 9 volt battery's waking up a little bit now that we're putting a load on it. Anyways, it's probably in need of some calibration maybe, but it actually is an operating meter. One last thing I want to mention about this meter. I just noticed these are original Simpson branded leads, which is kind of cool. And there's even a alligator clip that screws on. I like these type that have the screw on alligator clip ability. I just checked, and actually the other meter that I bought was a Simpson 260, and very similar looking. I don't remember what the difference is between the 260 and the 270. All right, moving on. So one of my first buys of the day was I came across a dealer who was putting out a bunch of tools on his table, and I spotted a couple of these cant twist clamps, and then I went down his table a little further and I found a couple others. So I put them all together, and so this is he had $5 each on these two. These are these are marked Cant Twist 2, so they must be the same vintage. They're marked with patent numbers for U.S. and Canada. So the 4 of them come to $18, and I think I got them to take 15 for the lot, which is a heck of a good deal. Cant twist clamps are really handy when you're welding stuff. I guess no pick would be complete if I didn't dump some cash on some CB junk. There was a guy there, he had a couple of mobile radios and stuff, nothing remarkable, no sideband radios or anything, and then he just had some stuff piled up, and I spotted this microphone, and it's an Astatic, I think it's a preamplified. It's the model 636L-C. I just thought it was kind of a cool looking one. It's all plastic, chromed plastic. It says Astatic world famous radio microphone, and he said he was a truck driver and he used this all the time, and I said I kind of thought this came out of a truck driver's rig because it's got this funny hook that somebody put on here so that he could just hang it up there, so he could just reach up and grab it, key it, and talk, and then take his hand off, and it was always there at the ready. He didn't have to reach down anywhere and take it off of its hook. So looks like it's wired for a Cobra or a Uniden. But I got this for $5. I'll put it in my Nostalgia CB collection. I came across this C-clamp at somebody's table. They didn't really have much in the way of tools, but I found this clamp. I honestly can't remember what I ended up paying for it. It couldn't have been too much because it's just no V-block or anything, just this lone clamp. But I kind of liked it. It just had an interesting look to me. It's, for starters, it's a beefy sucker, okay? I can find no markings on it whatsoever. but it's a little unusual in design as far as just the way it looks. You know, it's got a definite look to it. You would think that if it's not homemade, it'd be easy to identify because it's got these strange little button thumb screws on the side. So these were really, really tight. I had to break them loose with the wrench. So the weird thing is, I have absolutely no idea what these are for, what the purpose of these buttons is. So I can unscrew them all the way. So they don't go in far enough to, and they don't have anything that would push on that, like they don't act as locking nuts for this, is what I'm getting to. So one of the things I thought was maybe, just maybe, these are an extendable little foot. So that if you have the clamp on the V-block and you put the whole thing on its side, that you can adjust this. I mean, I don't know. So, kind of weird. I probably only gave $1 or $2 for this. I'm sure I didn't give more than like $3 for it because, you know, again, it's just a no-name lone clamp. The guy who was putting out tools that I had bought the can't twist clamps from, that was first thing in the morning, so he hadn't finished putting stuff out. When I went back to his table later, he had put some more stuff out, and I spotted something, and I kind of thought about it, and the more I looked at it, the more I thought, you know, I don't need it, but it's cheap enough. I think it's kind of cool, so I'm going to pay the $15 that he's asking for this thing. So it's another one of these height gauges, right? So I haven't figured out yet whether or not it's a height gauge or an indicator stand or maybe a little bit of both. But the design is really kind of neat. So this is something I'm pretty sure somebody made in a workshop. There's a name on the bottom, but I'm pretty sure that is the name of the guy who made this because it's kind of stamped in a little askew. Kieltyka. Kieltyka? I don't know. It's got a nice finish on the bottom. It's a little recessed in the middle there. So, by design. We got a couple of set screws here that probably hold in these vertical rods. So this is a twin beam, which is unusual for one of these style. And then it has this interesting setup here for holding whatever it is you're going to put on this thing. So it's got a hole in the end, so you could put an indicator that has a post type mount on it right in there. It's got just a cap screw to tighten it down. So it's got a couple of interesting things going for it that I thought were really cool. For starters, the locking mechanism that locks it on the posts. We've got one large thumb screw in the middle here going down this way, and yet it locks positively on the twin beams with one control. So without taking this whole thing apart, I'd have to theorize that what we've got going on in here is that there's some sort of a probably a cone shape to the end of this thumb screw, and that as we tighten that, it does a wedging action and pushes a couple of pins out this way in opposite directions and engages the posts to lock it. And then, as if that wasn't cool enough, we've got a pivot point here, and then what we've got is another thumb screw that is attached to the back side here, and what this is a fine adjustment. So this is a really cool design on this thing. There's a spring in there because this screw is not captive to this part. It's a through hole. But I don't know, I just thought that was really neat So I had to have it. I think I actually got this for 12 bucks, believe it or not. I think even after all that, I think I still kind of hemmed and hawed and finally got it for 12. Well, maybe I paid 15. Who cares? So just for giggles, I looked up this name on the bottom, and it's a Polish name. So fellow Polish countryman made this really cool device. Another dealer I came across had a whole bunch of flap discs and grinding wheels and stuff. Most of them were generic cheapos. And I asked about these, and he said, how about $5 for the 5? And I said, yeah, sure. Because they're genuine DeWalt high performance for metal grinding. Might have been the same dealer had this set of general punches. I already checked, and they are, in fact, all generals. Looks like we're maybe missing one. I don't know for sure, because it doesn't, just says drive pin set, doesn't say like 7-piece or anything like that. But still a nice set. They're actually in really good shape too. And it's got a little wooden holder. I think I got these for 10 bucks. Probably the buy of the day, which I was surprised to still see sitting there, was I don't know if this dealer put this out later on in the morning or what, but when I was getting ready to leave, I was going one more pass through, and I came across this dealer, and he had this Starrett level. Okay, this is a number 130 level, and I got this for 25 bucks. And I think this might be brand new. It is super clean, and a little bit of paperwork in there in the box with it. I mean, it's just really, really clean. I think the last one of these that I had was in really good shape, but I didn't have the original box with it, and I think I got 40 or 45 bucks for it. So I thought that was a really good deal. And then these last 3 items all came from the same dealer, and it was the same guy that I had bought a monster hoard of Starrett and Brown & Sharp micrometers from like last year, before COVID canceled everything on everybody. So actually that was summer of 2019. Then a few weeks ago, near the beginning of the season, I ran into him again, and I showed you guys that I had picked up some more micrometers that he had. Some of them were thread pitch micrometers or screw pitch micrometers, so they're a little specialized. And then when I saw him this particular weekend, he literally had more, and I said, hey, I said I thought that was the last of them what I bought, and he said, he laughed, and he said I thought so too. He says, I forgot about these. He said, but these are the last of them. So I got another. This is another Brown & Sharp. This is another one of these 599. This is a 599-8-44, so it's another 8-inch micrometer. And again, looks to be brand new in the box with the paperwork. This foam packing wasn't all disheveled like this, but I opened it up to take a look at it, or somebody else did, I don't remember. But that's why that looks like hell. I'll have to try and repack that. And then he had this one. It's a big one. This is a 12-inch. Okay. Same thing. Looks to be brand spanking new, in the original foam packing, with the paperwork, with the micrometer wrench. So that. And then I don't even remember what this is. Oh, this I actually didn't buy from that guy. This I bought from the dealer that I bought that interesting. That's what it was. I ended up getting a deal on this because I pooled it with this Dual branded dial caliper. It actually works perfectly fine, but it's kind of gummed up, so it's going to need a little bit of cleaning. But what's kind of cool about it is it has these really long, deep jaws. It has the inside and out jaws. So it actually, I don't know if it's kind of hard to see, but what it says there is 0.4 inches. So basically what they're telling you is that if you're using it as for an interior measurement, you need to make a 400 thousandths correction. So a while back I had a dual indicator that was pretty nice. And it said it was made in the USA. These actually say Germany. And they look suspiciously a lot like my Helios calipers that I had years ago. I'll give you another look at this dial. Those of you guys who know Helios might be able to appreciate how much that looks like a Helios. So unfortunately, these are going to be a pain to ship. So I don't know yet what I'm going to do with these. But he had these marked for 40 bucks. I want to say I think I got the two pieces for, I might have got the two pieces for 40 or 45, something like that. And believe it or not, guys, that's it. That was all of it. So wasn't a huge haul, but I did get some good deals that day. I was just about to say we were done, and I forgot about this little slice of heaven right here. Two little slices of heaven, actually, that I picked up from the same dealer that had a bunch of machinist tools that were in kind of rough shape and had really high prices on them. The nicest thing that I found at that dealer was a sensitive, a small Albert keyless chuck with a sensitive drilling attachment on it, and had no markings on it. It was just thrown in a box with a bunch of other stuff like a piece of junk. So I thought maybe I was going to make the killing of the day by getting a deal on that. But when I asked the old woman, literally an old woman who was, minding the store, she immediately informed me that, oh, those are very expensive new. And then she, I believe she told me that it was $150. It was crazy. But then I came across this, and luckily I was able to get this, I think, for $5, which is okay. Not a killer of a deal. I think I got this and the other piece, two pieces for 10. And what this is a cool little tap wrench. It says made in England. It's got a UK patent number on it. And it's an Eclipse number 244 0 to 1/8 inch tap wrench. And I actually found a discussion about this very wrench amongst some guys on a model engineering forum. And they were raving about, one of the guys was talking about how he loved this thing, and another guy was saying he'd been looking for one for so long. So it's actually got kind of a little bit of a following. So it's kind of a neat little thing. And the other item was this GE branded model catalog number 92X512 weld fillet gauge. It was kind of like a little radius gauge for welders, or I guess inspectors who are inspecting welds. These don't have a tremendous amount of value. I've had one or two of these come through my hands in the past. This one actually just took a field trip today. I let my son, who's in a metal fabrication, he's in his sophomore year at the Voc-Tech High School in metal fabrication. I showed it to him, and he asked if he could take it in and show it to his instructor because he thought they'd be interested in it. And I guess he said the guy thought it was that he'd seen them before, and he said now they just use cheap Chinese ones, so he thought this was kind of neat. All right. So until next time, if you like this video, please hit the like button, and if you're not already a subscriber, consider subscribing. Take care.